So it's just not when they just say, no, I'm sorry, you can't open, you just go and you talk to the leaders in your community. I went to the mayor, I went to these people and have built relationships over the last 20 years with them, because I do believe in supporting. It's not just a support to benefit us. The better the community is and the better, I'm in touch and we're all leaders, the better the whole place is going to be. Ybor, Tampa, Panama City, Destin, all of them.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Truth to Heals podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and today I'm joined with Joanna Danielle Olsen. Welcome to the show, Danielle. Welcome to the show, Joanna. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm doing great. I'm here in Miami at my place here, and thank you so much for having me to share my story.
Well, I just recently found out that you are coming up on your anniversary as an entrepreneur, coming up on 25 years. Can you share with us a bit about the beginning of your journey and how it led to Coyote Ugly?
So I opened my first business as a nightclub when I was 23. And I was an architect before that. My degree's in architecture and design from the University of Georgia. So whatever you major in, you don't need to use it at all, but it's great. I'm the type of person who once you start something, you finish it. And I think that's a thing in life, that when I see people, or engage or hire people, that's a big thing to me. But I always wanted to open my own business. And growing up, I didn't know what that looked like. The only people that I knew were doctors and lawyers. So I was actually pre-med because I just wanted to make money to take care of my parents and to have freedom and to give back to society. That was my staple point. So I opened a nightclub in Atlanta called Paradox with 3 other people. We maxed out all our credit cards, maxed out everything, just took that huge risk. And since I owned that, I went and visited New York. And I went to the Coyote Ugly during Thanksgiving because my extended family is in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And I met Lil, and we did a deal that night. And I had validity because I already had a nightclub in Atlanta. And we did a deal that night on a piece of paper. And then right when I got back, I started hitting the pavement and finding a location. And I found a location within a week for Coyote Ugly in Atlanta. And that was in 1999. And then there's a movie coming out. Had no idea how big it was going to be. We had no idea, we were both very young. And Jerry Bruckheimer was doing, just use Coyote Ugly as the bar. But Lil is a real person. I'm a real person. It's based. So I always say the movie is based off our bar, which is so great. And Lil's name, Coyote Ugly.
That's fascinating. And I'm happy to have you sharing your journey, your story. And
Yeah.
I wanted to take a step in the past a little bit to Paradox, because with Paradox, we already see the perfect combination of fashion, art, and music. And I wanted to understand better what sparked this love, this passion for this perfect combination of art, music, and fashion.
Thank you for asking that. As I sit around my art, my major in college and what I am very passionate about is art and architecture. And, I was art history major as well. I'm just very passionate about art and spaces and buildings. And that's my passion. So I studied abroad when I was 20 years old in Verona, Italy. I studied architecture and worked on the restoration of Romeo and Juliet's house. And we had no cell phones, you know what I mean? This is like living on your own, just sketching, 1 phone call a week back home. And, that's where the Paradox came from, because through fashion, we did fashion shows and things like that, through my modeling history. The art, we featured a new artist every week or new DJs. And man, it was the 90s in Atlanta. It was so fun. It was the Braves. We had won the championship. It was Neon Dion. It was like, these are all my friends. It was so fun. I actually just watched a documentary last night and it brought me back to that. Pink was discovered, at my bar, and Usher was always there. And it was this big mix of like So Def and all those people. And so it was a really great time in Atlanta, in Buckhead, and to be successful. So thank goodness that first journey was very successful. And my first nightclub was very successful, and we put a lot of work and, like I said, We only had radio then, there was no social media. So we had to get the word out ourselves, be involved in the community, which I love to do as well, whether it be going to a charity event for Formula One or, to a Braves game or whatever it was in Atlanta at that time. So it really taught me to be very involved and to always get doing promos and getting the word out. And to this very day, we still do that. We just went to the Luke Bryan concert and had the girls there handing out drink tickets and, being involved. And so, yeah, so that's where the fashion, art, and music meet came from for that.
I love that because fashion, art, music, although I'm not a fashion stylist or anything, I always find it to raise my spirits. So hearing you share your love for these three, it also inspires me a bit too. So thank you.
Absolutely. And you just nailed it. I mean, when we dress up and we feel good, or we don't even have to just walk better, it makes us feel better. And I'm all about wearing sweats and being comfortable in my workout clothes. But when I have something to show up to out of respect, it's like dress for that, dress for that. It represents you well, and people respect that, especially nowadays.
Looking back, not just at Paradox, but also on uh, Coyote Ugly, this whole journey, and like we mentioned earlier, you're coming up on 25-year anniversary, which is amazing. I wanted to ask you now, what are some challenges that you have had to face, and what are some rewards that you have discovered in life as you have gone through these challenges?
Well, definitely start with the challenges first. The challenges are when you own a bar, it's the unknown every day. Um, any incident can happen. So right when I wake up, I look at our reports. Something can happen. Then we have hurricanes, COVID, shootings. I mean, we're hit with things left and right. Just it's the unknown. So I always say those. It's the daily challenges, whether it be a lawsuit or a certain employee or whatever that is. You're always trying to navigate, and that's where you have to be extremely resilient, because there's a lot of times and a lot of people who would just it can be extremely stressful. It's many nights I don't sleep, including last night. We had one small incident, so it's just that is the challenges, and the reward is the freedom. I can work from anywhere. I've built it up so much, and have 17 properties in my portfolio now for my real estate, which is a really big part of my life. That brings in cash flow and is a big deal, on that aspect. So it's the freedom. It's the freedom that I can take care of my parents, and my father did just pass this year as well, but that I was able to fulfill that goal, to retire them, to take care of myself. And I have over 100 and something, I've got 196 employees currently. So, it's an extended that I take care of them and their family and their kids. And, so during COVID, that was a very challenging thing. We didn't know how long it was going to last. And most of my staff makes tips.
Yeah.
So as the leader and the owner, it was, I wanted to make sure everybody was taken care of, while at the same time not trying to have a breakdown myself, isolated as the owner, because you can't really talk to anybody else except maybe other owners about it. But a bar is also very unique too, because we were treated differently than an essential business. So
Yeah.
that's a very good example of one of the most challenging times of my life. It's weather related, hurricanes, things like that, being wiped out, regrouping. How are we going to rebuild this bar? Where am I going to house my staff that's now has no home to live in? How are they going to feed their kids? Those are the challenging things.
I recently read an article from Yahoo Finance about
Uh-huh.
Coyote Ugly and your work, and I was just so inspired reading that article. I'm not sure if you know which one I'm talking about, but
Luckily there's been quite a few lately. So remind me, yes,
oh
of what
well,
you're working with.
in this article, it was talking about COVID, the pandemic. However, it was also getting into your leadership skills and your desire to watch out for your employees. And you've just mentioned, wanting to take care of them. And I, there's a part there that was mentioning how the leadership had to really get together and bolt down and make sure that the employees are taken care of and also reaching out to the community. So my question for you is, what leadership skills did you need, do you have that helped you get through the pandemic? And as the article ended, um, after the pandemic, when Coyote Ugly reopened, it was even more vibrant than before. So
Absolutely.
what is the secret? What is the secret sauce that you have?
That's a good question, and I would say the secret sauce again goes back to the resiliency and what can we do. Like the first week of COVID, I said, well, this is the first time we're going to be closed down for a week or two, so let's redo the floors. So I went and made sure, I employed four construction guys, went and got them and said, okay, let's get in here. Used some of my staff, was able to pay them hourly, to renovate my bars, because I thought, what better than this time? We'll be closed a few weeks, which turned into 6 months. But it's never taking no for an answer. And going back to just Tampa specifically, there were certain places that were allowed to open, certain places that weren't. So I went straight to the city, this is where where the leadership skill kicks in. I'm not taking no for an answer. You're saying that only 20% of people are allowed in my bar, and if they stand up, I'll get a fine and lose my liquor license. But if they sit in a bar stool, we're okay. It was just, when I look back now, and thank goodness I kept a journal, the ridiculousness of it, because I'm 5'9" alone. And you're thinking, well, if I stood up or sat down next to someone, we're still of the same height.
Mhm.
The science and behind, it was just madness behind the theories. So I went in and proved that this is just ridiculous. And then within 5 days, we were reopened to 20% capacity. So it's just not when they just say, no, I'm sorry, you can't open, you just go and you talk to the leaders in your community. I went to the mayor, I went to these people and have built relationships over the last 20 years with them, because I do believe in supporting. It's not just a support to benefit us. The better the community is and the better, I'm in touch and we're all leaders, the better the whole place is going to be. Ybor, Tampa, Panama City, Destin, all of them.
And what would you say you love most about Coyote Ugly and this whole business?
What I love the most about the business is the variety of people. And when I go, it's how happy everyone is. It's a very celebratory place. It's very pro America. It's our girls doing choreographed dances on the bar. It's so nostalgic. I could have never imagined. I always knew I wanted to continue and grow as a person and through my businesses. But the nostalgic aspect that Coyote Ugly is more popular now than it's ever been, and all the generations that love it. I can be sitting with a 70-year-old having coffee, and they're like, that was my favorite movie, to, a girl who's 22 and was like, I watched that movie growing up. I've always wanted to be a coyote. So it's very, very cool. And when you go there, it really is that experience. You'll have, like in Tampa, I'll just use Tampa as an example. You'll go in and you'll have a bachelorette party. You'll have a birthday party. You'll have 10 people sitting there smoking cigars. They just got rolled up and they're in their 60s. You've got, it's just such a cool mix of every type of person all getting along in a great celebratory way. And that really makes my heart happy, because in this day and age, especially, we have so many things in America and all over the world that are hurting. So when they go there, it's very important to me. We only play sports. It's a place to just really come and get together and just have a fun night. And my, staff is so great at giving that experience. So that's what makes me the happiest about it.
I love it. I love hearing the passion and the love that you have for what you do. Um,
Yes.
Before we wrap things up,
Yes.
we're going to have your 25-year anniversary as an entrepreneur. How do you see yourself evolving for the next 25 years?
I see myself evolving, and I know, and what else can I take on but evolving, buying more properties, definitely expanding. One thing I'm really fortunate to do is when I buy a property, I buy it in a place I love. So I get to spend my time living in different places every month. And I think that's really interesting. And I'm very, very fortunate to get to do that. So for the next 25 years, it'll be growing my business, growing as a person. I always want to learn. I'm always learning and how I can do better. And, that as I just did that yesterday, actually, I spent the whole day. What can I do better? How can I be a better leader? How can I be a better owner? How can I provide a better experience for everyone? So that is my 25-year plan. And hopefully it's the next chapter, and I'm most excited about it.
Well, best of luck for your next chapter. And I'm just so happy to have you on the show, sharing your journey, your resilience, and your grit to really keep
I like that
your
word
keep the
grit.
keep
That's a good
I
word.
love
Yeah.
it.
And
But
whatever it takes, I
you
always
have
say
it.
WIT. That was our thing in high school, and I've always stuck to it. Whatever it takes, we're going to get it done.
So now to come to an end, I always love to ask the guests on the show the same question, and I'll ask you, what is your truth that heals?
My truth that heals is really having faith. I really have a strong faith in God and His plan. And for a person like me, it's really hard to be still and not try to make things happen. But I've been a lot better about that lately. And having just faith in the journey and enjoying the journey, and every day is a true gift. And that goes along with trusting my gut instinct. As I've gotten older, I really just trust that inner voice right away and don't negotiate it back and forth. If something doesn't feel right in business or in my personal life, I don't move forward. And that's been a really good thing for me. And that goes back to just having faith in myself, believing in God's in a spiritual plan that's bigger than us.
I love that because many times people are afraid to listen to themselves and listen to other people. But from hearing your story, now you listen to yourself. And like we mentioned earlier, you're going to go for it. You're not going to take no for an answer. If you know that this is your truth, you're going to go for it. And I love that about you. And I am so happy to have you on the show. So thank you so
Thank you. And
much.
I want to wrap or say this too. You really hit on something. I learned very young. Can you imagine I'm 23 and going to open a bar? Do you know how many people told me I'm absolutely crazy? What do you know about bars? Nobody in your family works in bar. You know nothing. So I tell people, listen to yourself, have faith in yourself, because that you're going to get that. And now what I do is I go and I'll ask certain people I really trust their opinion, of course, but you've got to be very careful about who you go to, because it's a lot of reflection of how they feel as well about themselves. So they have a nervousness of seeing you succeed. So you might get negative feedback. So a big advice to your audience would be listen to your gut and be very, very, very careful who you talk to about what your next steps are, and if you're going to be an owner and what you're going to do there.
Well, thank you so much, Joanna, and thank you for the audience for tuning in to
Thank you.
this
I
episode.
appreciate you having me.